2024 Gran Turismo World Series production cars tuned to the max in the beautiful conditions on this Tokyo Expressway circuit at night as well, just to add another element for the drivers to have to contend with. And here is how they line up on the grid. It's Takuma Miyazono in the Lamborghini, who's in pole position. Alongside on the front row, the Audi R8 of Takuma Sasaki. Row 2 is headed by Angelina Stroza in the Mercedes-AMG Black Series. Jose Serrano for company in the Ferrari F40. Next up, it's Kylian Drumont in the Pagani Huayra. And then you've got Jorge Lopez in the Nissan Skyline GTR R34. Then the R32 Nismo Skyline of Kai de Bruin is in 7th with Valerio Gallo. He'll be happy with that. He loves a Honda. He's in the NSX in 8th position. Then it's Guy Barbara in the Nissan GTR R35. And then Toyota Supra is driven by Robbie Heck. Callum Rocha, should say, beg your pardon, is in the Mazda RX-7. And Adriano Corazza in the Nismo 400R lines up at the back of the field. No need to worry about tyres during this race, by the way. It's a flat-out sprint from start to finish. It is going to be action-packed.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a straight fight, this. And as you saw from our little graphic earlier on, these cars are tuned to way over 1,000 horsepower. And you add the slipstream into that, and you have the speeds entering T1 over 400 kilometers an hour or 250 mile an hour if you're that way inclined. So it's going to be, I think, chaotic down at T1 the first time through. If you get through there in one piece, I think you're in good stead for the race. That's definitely going to be a challenge.
It certainly is, and the drivers, as we said, are going to have to be contending with nighttime conditions, and we saw them practicing earlier on. They were oversteering, understeering, sliding about all over the place. It was quite dramatic, really. Yeah,
it was very much so, but a lot of fun to watch. And of course, bear in mind, in this case, it's a ton of fun to see these cars being represented. So the drivers get ready to start.
So then, it's time to go racing. The sprint race for Nations Cup here in Tokyo is underway. Miyazono leads the field across the timeline, then Sasaki in second, Stroza in third. You can guarantee that order will be changing by the first corner, and even within a few hundred metres it's changed, because Sasaki goes through into the race lead. Now Miyazono goes from being the hunter being the hunted to being the hunter, rather, I should say. Serrano there lurking in the background, as well as Angelina Stroza. It funnels right down into turn 1. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? Miyazono on the inside, then Sasaki and Serrano bang into the wall for Sasaki and also for Serrano. Stroza takes advantage and goes through to third position, and somehow, in all of the drama, Miyazono manages to retain the lead.
Yeah, I mean, they've had the brakes on great with these things, but I mean, slowing from that sort of speed is very, very difficult indeed. A couple of cars into the wall there. Miyazono out front from Sasaki, Stroza there in third, Serrano fourth. But as you can see, very, very tricky getting these production-based cars through this circuit. So much power being delivered to the wheels here. Some of these cars as well are rear-wheel drive, some are four-wheel drive. There's an advantage there in traction zones, but of course in the corners they're going to be a bit more susceptible to understeer the four-wheel drive machines. But coming through this tight section for the first time, we now come back up towards where we started our rolling start. And to be honest, you don't really want to be where Miyazono is unless you get a big gap out front. The slipstream, the toe of these cars is absolutely huge.
Yeah, certainly is. So let's see what's going to happen then here as we come down in towards the hairpin. They're not favourable on traction, these cars, at all, because they've got a power that's going through the rear axles, or indeed sometimes the front and the rear axles. You've got to be really, really ginger on the power. Someone's out well wide. That's kind of Bruin, isn't it? Yeah, he's off into the centre of Tokyo, I think. He's ended up in Ginza or something along the lines of that, but manages to keep it righted and holds on to 8th position. On board we are here with Jose Serrano. Look at the power here of the Ferrari F40 as we go into the tunnel, and his next target will be Sasaki in front. So it's the two Japanese drivers now leading a Spaniard.
Look at that speed climb there, 360 kph before we came off board there, 390, there's 400 kilometers an hour off the end of the speedo, and then some is this F40. I mean, I love too, to be honest, at this point. It's very, very quickly. Well, do they all get stopped in time this time through? They do, and Kai de Bruin almost getting it wrong in the skyline, almost going to the back of Jose Serrano there, but Sasaki up into the lead now, of course, after that slipstream opportunity. But you're seeing these cars are insane. You have to belong to a very special club to be in one of these cars, Tom.
Certainly do. On board we are looking rather, I should say, at Takuma Miyazono, with Sasaki having taken over at the sharp end of this race. So down through into these sweeping S-bends. You've got to be one at a time through here, and you've got to really be careful about what sort of opportunities you decide to take, what liberties you decide to take, because it will reward you with the wall if you decide to push the limits that little bit too far. So Stroza having a good run of things so far. And just to remind you, of course, this race result will decide the grid order for the grand final coming up a long way after this one. And just to add another variable in the mix, we're into the Red Bull X 2019s. Now, let's work out what happened here with Robbie Heck and Guy Barbara. This is going to be down into the hairpin bend, and I think there's going to be a bit of contact into the back. Yeah, Barbara just misses the braking point straight into Heck. Heck gets spun round. Barbara backs off the gas. I think Heck he's still down in 12th place, so I reckon there'll be a penalty forthcoming for that.
That's a very Guy Barbara thing to happen, isn't it, unfortunately? He always seems to be quick, but just a little bit, prone to incident at the moment.
And Robbie Heck has loads of luck, just all a bit bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's how it is. But again, on board this time with the mighty R34 GTR. Guy Barbara giving that penalty. Here's a 60. Look at this, in the Stroza. We're going to drive by him, I say that, but now we're back into the toe again. So it's just a look, I mean, despite the speeds, again, we're well off the end of the speed over here in the R34. We've got 410, 414, 400, and we can see 420.
We're going to go through all one for the race lead here as well. Coming down towards the first corner. Serrano's on the outside. Sasaki there as well. Oh, bang! Straight into the back. Lopez into the wall. And that is drama. And we were expecting it to kick off. And unfortunately it did in the biggest way at the start of lap 3. The upshot is it's Sasaki, Miyazono in a Stroza out in front. And now we've got Lopez, who's got a lot of recovery work to do if he's going to be able to salvage a result from this race and secure himself a good grid position for the grand final.
Yeah, that's our championship leader right there in jeopardy. So, I mean, we know Coque Lopez is good at coming back through the field, but obviously you don't want to be doing that. And that will likely be a penalty as well, because he just ran into the back of the guy in front. Valerio Gallo, good race from him so far, up to P5. He's moved up 3 places from his starting position in 8th, so now onto the back of the pack in front. That NSX doing pretty well. Here is a replay, you missed it, of Coque Lopez just getting the braking all sorts of wrong. He actually helps to run out of it there, I think.
I think he knew that he'd outbrake himself, but he just decided to go straight to the wall. Look at that. Facial reaction says it all, doesn't it?
Oops.
Yeah, something's wrong with him running around in his head, but we can't repeat on the broadcast. Guy Barbara did, by the way, pick up a 2-second penalty for his troubles after that collision with Robbie Heck, just for your information. Miyazono a bit deep at the hairpin there. That allows the door to open for Inestrosa, who's gladly ready to walk through it and slot into the slipstream of Sasaki, the race leader. Lopez and Serrano now under investigation for that collision at the start of this lap as well. Onto the straight we go, and we've got a fantastic shot of the action unfolding here with Valerio Gallo in front. You've got Serrano and Miyazono side by side. So Serrano and Inestrosa, I should say, side by side as we go through the tunnel. Inestrosa just able to hold firm ahead of Jose Serrano for now as well. Keep an eye out for Kai de Bruyne, he's a little wide. Look at the clothing speed, the slipstream there for Miyazono. Sasaki early on the brakes, he knows you don't want to make the same mistakes that Lopez did. Hello, enter stage left. That's Angel Inestrosa trying to go the long way around the outside, but you have to wake up pretty early to try and fall off Takuma Sasaki. He probably knows these roads a little bit better than Angel Inestrosa.
Isn't that insane? I mean, you go 380 kph and the guy drives by you, and that speed differential. Crazy combat. Unsurprisingly, that I saw that coming. Coque Lopez getting the same penalty Guy Barbara got. It was effectively the same incident there. So Coque Lopez getting slapped for that. Meanwhile, the fight first now really between these 5 cars. There's a bit of a gap behind us to kind of ruin in the R32. On board again with the NSX Type R of Valerio Gallo, currently second in the standings in our Nations Cup. So again, looking for a good position here, looking for a good result to try and put himself in a nicer order for the race coming, the grand final coming later on.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity here for Gallo to try and take profit courtesy of that incident for Lopez, especially the penalty to compound the Spaniard's woes. Gallo there, brilliant drive, isn't it? Fantastic. Lopez with another 1-second penalty to add to his woes there as well. Down on the brakes we go into the hairpin. Gallo's just going to buy this time. There's no point going and diving up the inside because you're going to lose all of that by the time you come to this next straight.
Yeah, he did back off there, I think, to get this toe. This is how strong the toe is. So right now, we're in P5. Let's see how much time we can gain being the last car in the train. Saying that, this car's rocketing away from the NSX down the straight. Let's see what Gallo can do. As Serrano was head in a Stroza. So who's that as well? That kind of ruined in the skyline. Look at the power of the thing. But he's passed Valerio Gallo. He's now chasing the cars in front. No, he's fallen back by again. But you can see just how strong the tunnel's going to get. Sasaki and Miyazono trade places. I think they're being a bit careful when they're saying that. Miyazono trying to keep it on the inside. There's Valerio Gallo diving up the inside of everyone up into P3. Was there contact there, Tom?
I don't know if there was. Inestrosa was out well wide, but I think he was on that course to himself. Oh, a bit of contact to the wall there as well. Serrano's in the middle of a bit of a pickle here because he's got De Bruyne in front, but he's trying to hide rather, I should say, but also trying to attack the driver in front. And sure enough, he changed to the next corner, and the order has changed as well. De Bruyne side by side now with the Ferrari as we come through this ever-sweeping series of corners, and De Bruyne just keeping his powder dry for the time being.
This is just, what a race this is. What cars these are. The speeds are ridiculous. The thing is, at these speeds, if you do get something wrong, if you miss your braking point by, Gallo just driving by Sasaki there. And he did need invited twice for that, didn't he? So Gallo now up into second place. What a great drive from the Italian so far. Of course, his cars are very different from the X2090s, but we've seen this with Valerio. He really likes his production-style car. Car a bit soft, a bit more roll to it. He just loves this sort of car. He really is just doing so well today.
I'm loving these present as well because we get to see the beautiful interiors that the team at Polyphony have modelled as well. I was actually watching on board with Valerio Gallo a few minutes ago, looking at the clock, and I noticed that the clock does actually work in real time as well. Just that little attention to detail that you just don't see anywhere else. Meanwhile, Sasaki is keeping an eye on his clock because he knows that the time will be running out as we head to the halfway stage. He now gets past the Honda NSX of Valerio Gallo and back through into second position. Look at this, three abreast as we come through the tunnel. Oh, contact there with De Bruyne and Inestrosa. You've got to be so careful of that because these cars, when they're on the edge of adhesion like they are, you can flip them round with your little finger and it doesn't take a lot of contact at all to ruin your race. De Bruyne keeping a watching brief now right on board with him. This is a familiar sight for you if your name is Jimmy Broadbent because there's a similar interior for your car. Look at that, Sasaki on the inside and Gallo as well. It's going to get messy this one, isn't it, in the closing stages? You can just sense it's going to really bubble up. And look at that, De Bruyne with a lunge to the inside of Serrano as well. I don't think he'll make that stick, but somehow he's got traction on the inside here against the Spaniard, and if he can hold it around the outside, no, Serrano has got track position.
You can see in the traction zone, this thing's forward drive compared to his rear-wheel drive cars, in fact, it's able to get that power down a bit quicker, but then through this mid-section just doesn't quite have the same cornering ability, so it's really interesting to see the strengths and weaknesses of the cars around this Tokyo Expressway circuit. And you see the gap really opening up there to the cars in front and behind us. 3.5 second gap. So the top six sort of are comfortable right now. And a reminder that it is the top six that will be scoring points in the grand final a bit later on. So good practice for Kai De Bruyne. Now closing back up to this leading pack. So there's a little bit of cat and mouse here, isn't there? Because this sixth screen coming in. So it's just trying to position yourself in the best place going onto that massive front straight.
Yeah, there is a fair bit of yin and yang going on in this race. Lopez, by the way, down in 10th position. His race not going well at all, and that's going to give him a big uphill task for the grand final in the X2019s a little bit later on. But if anyone can turn it round, Tokyo Lopez can. If you remember, he started last on the grid in the grand final in Prague, managed to get his way up to a podium finish, could have possibly fought the victory. On board we are then here with Kai De Bruyne. He's got Angel Inestrosa directly in front in the Mercedes AMG Black Series. Then it's Valerio Gallo up the road. And he's going to breeze on by the Mercedes, or is it? Because pulling out the slip through there is Inestrosa on Valerio Gallo. And De Bruyne there, though he's got a fair bit of straight line speed, and that's where the strength of this Nissan GTR seems to be at the moment. He's just not able to use it for the time being. It's going to be a lunge to the inside. We're side by side there for third. Inestrosa looking for the long way around the outside on Valerio Gallo. There'll be a brave move if he can pull it off. Indeed he can't. The door's open for Kai De Bruyne, who gladly tries to walk through it. There's a bit of hip and shoulder going through into turn two, and De Bruyne does manage to get the better of Inestrosa and goes up into fourth.
The braking zone is just so long here. Such good opportunities for these big moves if you're comfortable in taking that risk. We've seen what happens if you're just a little bit too late in the brakes here. That barrier is just waiting to greet you from the outside of the corner. And again, you're seeing this skyline just a bit weak in this part of the circuit. It can't keep up the rest.
Tell you what it has done though, it's just allowed the top three to have a little bit of breathing space. Only 7/10 of a second or so, but whilst they've been squabbling amongst one another behind, it's just broken the pickup ever so slightly. And likewise, Miyazono, he's begun to pull the pin now. He's got 8/10 of a second. That's the biggest gap we've seen all race long for the lead.
Same with that NSX, very, very strong in that midsection there. Looking to then, Gallo is desperate to get by Sasaki. I think he's being held up a little bit now. But as you're saying, this Sasaki being a bit slow, it is giving Miyazono that gap. And we're getting to the point now where the drive isn't going to quite be as strong. That's what is keeping these guys together. But course, you might have played the old GT4 driving missions, the slingshot missions. That's what Gallo's going to do now. He's going to wait, try and get a good run out of the corner, get a massive draft. You see the difference between all-wheel drive there and wheel drive to the corner. That's amazing.
Patience is going to reward these drivers, isn't it? You don't want to be like a toddler waiting to open your presents on Christmas Eve. You've got to be careful about how you do this one, and you can see there, Guy de Bruyne now goes up into third position against Valerio Gallo across the sideline. We go 3 to go then at the end of this one. So de Bruyne in third position in the Nissan Skyline R32. Just up in front you've got Sasaki, who's taken over from Takuma Miyazono. So that 8/10 of a second lead washed away in the space of less than one straight. Miyazono has a look back on the inside in the Lamborghini. Can he make it stick? I don't think Sasaki's going to hold him up too much, because he knows if they start squabbling, I say that, he goes back through on the inside. Beautiful switchback from Sasaki, but it's released the rest of the field to close right up onto the rear wing of the top two once again.
I know, obviously we're impartial here in the commentary booth, but I am cheering a little bit for that R32 in third place. Guy de Bruyne doing things in that car that I'm not sure it's meant to do, to be honest, but they're now in the back of the train. Look how close these guys are. 6 cars all separated by about a second as we're on the lap 8 of 10. So only about a lap and a half, 2 laps and a half to sort this all out for our guys here. Jose Serrano on board in that awesome Ferrari F40, always also looking to pounce. You get the real impression, Tom, that anyone could win this race.
Yeah, it is going to be a lottery. Oh, de Bruyne's wide though. That's allowed Gallo through, and Serrano possibly to pick up the pieces as well. De Bruyne's still there on the inside, trying to hold firm for 5th position at the moment. And you can see up in front now as well. Once again, that yin and yang, the ebbing and flowing of this race. Sasaki leading from Miyazono. Gallo and Miyazono now side by side for second as we come down into the hairpin. Is Miyazono going to launch it through on the inside, or is he going to try and wait another day? No, he's going to go through. He's got track position on the inside. Will Gallo try and challenge him on the exit of the corner? He just lets him through and decides to go into the slipstream to attack him on this start-finish straight. So 2 to go then.
The NSX just can't get out of the corner. Every time you see it struggle compared to the cars around it. Again in the background, Guy de Bruyne in that 4-wheel drive R32 GTR just pulls alongside with ease, and they're now side by side in the mirror. What a shot that is to be come down again to the first corner on board Miyazono. Look at that speed, look at the mirror. Guy de Bruyne is there behind, challenging. He's going to go up to second place. Will he ever go on Miyazono for first on the inside as well? Oh, that was... He goes.
It bottlenecks up into turn 1, and de Bruyne round like a tabletop at the start of the penultimate lap. What a shame for the Dutchman. We've always talked about him and his misfortune in the GT World Series, and unfortunately it comes home to roost as he plummets down the order. That releases 6 cars now down to 5. Miyazono it is that leads.
What a shame for Guy de Bruyne. It was a very strong race for him there, but actually same time the track's a bit narrower there. I think he's been caught out by that as Gallo goes round the outside of Sasaki, and now for the first time Valerio Gallo is in a position where maybe he can get onto the back of Miyazono, but he's going to be close. That Gallardo in front, I think is 4-wheel drive. So here's a replay of what happened here, Tom.
Yeah, let's have a look. So de Bruyne then go for the move, and yeah, he just clips the wall, doesn't he? There wasn't any contact seemingly with Miyazono. Clips the wall as it boxes up. That sends him round. I talked about the cars being so easy to turn around when you're at that limit, and you can see it there spinning round right to the back of the field. It's now an uphill challenge for de Bruyne, unfortunately, for the grand final. He'll be starting plumb last.
Yeah, he just came round with him, just turned across the nose of Miyazono, and that was the end. It's a real shame for Guy de Bruyne, but just over 1 lap to go here in the sprint race here at Tokyo Expressway. Takuma Miyazono leads at the last corner. Gallo second, Sasaki third, and now it's going to be the biggest slipstream race of your life. They're all going to want to lead into T1, and Miyazono's in the worst place.
Keep an eye out as well for the slipstream here, because we're just about to come across to the timing line and see how far Valerio Gallo is. So look, if there's the start-finish line, what's that going to look like in a lap time? You need to be closer than that in order to challenge for the victory if you're going to go for a slipstream move. Gallo then now does go for the move against Takuma Miyazono, and hello, here comes Jose Serrano. There's more contact there. Miyazono gets biffed into the wall, but he's got the box of the slipstream, and it's Serrano going to be in a bit of lumber here. No, he's still there, ready to try and take advantage down to the first corner. Miyazono with a lunge on the inside, leans on Valerio Gallo. Gallo's going to get shuffled to the outside. Miyazono is going to have a sniff through into turn 2, but can't do anything, and now it's Gallo that leads, but he's slightly in the wall. Sasaki's ready there to take the advantage of it as well, and likewise Serrano, and also Angel Stroza. This is going to get messy.
So Gallo is out front, but he needs a gap. That car is not good off the last corner. Any of the cars behind him will out-drag him down to the first corner. So at the moment Gallo's got to drive for his life in this middle sector. Miyazono is still there. We have our second and third place in the championship separated by only 0.3 of a second coming into the last section. Now he's putting a bit of a gap, Tom, but is that going to be enough going on to the final straight?
Time is going to tell here. Gallo's pulled an advantage, but like you say, is it going to be enough for him to have that in his pocket? There are the steely eyes of determination for the Italian. The winner, of course, of the Grand Final from Prague last time out. Second he sits in the standings. His nearest rival to that is Coque Lopez. He's 11th, and that's where it looks like he'll be starting the Grand Final from. So this will be a great opportunity here for Valerio Gallo. Down into the hairpin. Miyazono late on the brakes. He's deep. Could that cost him a possibility of second place even here as we come on to the start-finish straight then for the final time? It's Gallo, Miyazono, Sasaki and Serrano. Miyazono's close. He's in the slipstream. We're going to go through into the tunnel and we're going to come to the timing line. Is Gallo going to be a sitting duck or is Miyazono going to bounce? It's a trap to the line in the sprint race here in the Nations Cup. Is it Miyazono or Gallo? 0.003 of a second in it, and Miyazono wins on the streets of Tokyo. Gallo finishes second, Sasaki in third. What a finish! Absolutely fantastic.
You could just see Valerio looking out the side of his car, but no, and Miyazono came through like a freight train. Good to see him getting up and applauding that. Sometimes you don't mind a race like that when you're a driver. If you come away feeling like you've had a good race.
The crowd are going to be on their feet for this one, I'm sure. The grand final of the Nations Cup is along the way. Red Bull X 2019's at Grand Valley Highway 1. Let's see what happens as we get ready for our last event before the World Finals in December. Here's the grid then. Takuma Miyazono lines up on pole position after taking victory in the sprint race by 0.003 of a second from this man, Valerio Gallo. Alongside him on the front row there with Sasaki heading row 2 and Jose Serrano alongside on row 2 alongside him was there. Row 3 is headed by Angel Estrada, the Chilean driver with Callum Roach. Good performance for him in the sprint race to qualify in 6th position ahead of Guy Barbara, the Australian. Next up you've got Adriano Carrazza. We'll be hoping for good fortune here tonight. Robbie Heck down in 9th position on the grid, but then we've got a couple of outliers. Kylian Drumont, didn't expect to see him quite as far down the order in 10th position, and Coque Lopez, the man who leads the championship down in 11th with Kai de Bruyne, the unlucky Dutchman for company. Now, our first look at the tyre strategy. Unsurprisingly there, Takuma Miyazono going on the soft compound of tyre. He wants to do what we saw in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, Jimmy, and break away early.
Yeah, very similar strat here. I mean, basically, if you're in the front, go for the soft tyre, break away, try and use that in the space you have in front of you, and just hope you don't get overtaken by the car behind. That is worst case scenario for Miyazono, so he needs to lead this first stint. Likewise, on the other side of the coin, we've got Guy Barbara, Robbie Heck, Drumont, Coque Lopez and Kai de Bruyne all opting to start on that hard compound of tyre towards the back of the field, get out of the way early when in traffic, and then get onto that fast tyre later on.
Well, let's see what is going to happen. There is Angel Estrada, the Chilean driver, returning from injury after breaking his leg. last year, and he's back to full fitness now. We'll see whether he is going to be able to get the cat amongst the pigeons and crucially get himself off the bottom of the scoreboard. It's going to be all eyes on the lights in a few moments' time. Nations Cup action about to begin then here for the grand final. 27 laps of action begins now as Takuma Miyazono leads the field across the line, followed by Gallo and Sasaki coming down in towards turn 2. This is the first big heavy braking zone. The field, of course, a fair bit spread out due to that rolling start, and Miyazono with a lot more grip underneath him as well, courtesy of those soft tyres. Let's see what happens with the medium shod runners. Will they start squabbling amongst themselves, or will they start playing it safe in the early stages of this race? Either way, it's Miyazono that leads the way out in front through the first few corners. Inostroza there having a half look to the inside, but also then gets in turn overtaken by Callum Roach.
Yeah, she had contact there with Suzuki, was putting back into the field, so already the first move we've seen. Possible contact, in fact there was contact as Stu was having a look at that right now, but to be honest, just first lap stuff, it is what it is, but you see the cars snaking through this mid-section. Callum Roach up into 4th place, a great start from the American driver, so him stamping his intent fairly quickly is Callum, as we now come on to this little mini backstreet here. Opportunity to overtake if you're close enough using the draft. Will Callum Roach do that? Sasaki here, as he tried, because we've seen Roach before in these Extra 90s, he's pretty quick in these, so one to watch, I think.
Yeah, he needs to have some good fortune. He hasn't had any of that so far this year, has Callum Roach, another driver who's not off the bottom of the scoreboard. You can see the advantage of that soft crop out of tyre, 1.5 seconds, and we're not even at the end of the first lap here for Takuma Miyazono. Gallo building a bit of a gap though to Sasaki in 3rd position. The slipstream range about 1.1, 1.2 seconds or so, and Gallo's trying to break out of that slipstream range. You can see coming down the start-finish straight here, Roach right on the wheel tracks here of Takuma Sasaki. I think he's a bit far away, and we see a smorgasbord of hard tyre shod runners, Barbara, Dumont, De Bruyne and Lopez all getting off that hard tyre as soon as they possibly can. They're going on to the mediums by the looks of things.
Glass has one or two things. Either they're very confident the medium tyre can go a long way in this race as can the soft, or it's going to be a free stop for a double soft, as we've seen in a couple of races before. Coco Lopez unsurprisingly coming in straight away. This is someone who needs to get out of the pits and have some clear area. I'm not sure he's going to though, but he's pitting at the same time. So where is Coco? He's towards the backwards back, isn't he? So some people have tried the same thing, but we'll see if it works out.
He's going to have a little bit of work to do with Coco Lopez. You can see him down there in 12th position, but what's the gap relative to the rest of the field? It's not going to be a great deal, is it? Guy Barber just getting overtaken there by Killian Dumont as the rest of that field filters on through. Let's have a look here with Roach, Inostroza, Serrano. So Inostroza 50 up the inside. He was too late on the brakes into Sasaki. And Serrano just an innocent passenger there, but Roach saw the doors open that the scenes were parting and walked straight through it.
That almost worked. Sasaki wasn't there. It would have been fine.
So it didn't work then, is what you're saying?
Almost, Sasaki, meanwhile, managing to close that gap a little bit to Valerio Gallo at the end of lap 2 there. Important to do that, I think, because in the throws they're getting a 1 second penalty. To be fair, that is consistent with what the stewards have done so far, so not entirely surprised to see that.
Yeah, no surprise at all there. Here is Jose Serrano, 1/3 of the Nations Cup lineup, which won the title in 2023. Back when that was a team-based competition. For 2024, it's an individual competition. It's winner takes all stakes. Looking forward to see what's going to happen in the World Finals. Takuma Sasaki still with Callum Roach right on his rear wing as he tries to find his way past. At the moment, they're all being relatively well behaved as it stands for now. You can see a fair big gap there back to Dumont. Of course, they've all made their pit stops, as we know, but 25 seconds or so. So Dumont with a nice bit of clear air in front of him, but he's not got too much of a time to sit there and think about it because he's got Barbara, De Bruyne very close behind. Lopez in turn is about 3 or so seconds off the back of that field at the moment, so he can run relatively comfortably for the time being, but if he does pick up the pace, he'll begin to get into the dirty air, which, as we know, is quite prominent on these heavy downforce cars.
Yeah, of course. So it was good to keep that in mind. So good to note, by the way, our current Nations Cup standings. We have 6 drivers who are sort of within touching distance of the lead. We've got Coco Lopez leading 8 points, Valerio Gallo 7, Miyazono 6, then Dumont, De Bruyne and Serrano all in 5 points apiece. So either of these drivers with a good result today could see themselves rocket to the top of the world. It's been a very close season so far, and this is, I think, going to continue into the grand final.
I just love this circle as well. The fantastic atmosphere. Of course, it is a fictional track, but it's based on a real-life location, the Grand Valley Highway, and just the scenery is beautiful, especially as you head over that viaduct in particular. The wide shot there making these cars looking absolutely resplendent in the sunshine. Roach still keeping tabs here with Takuma Sasaki, not letting him have a lot of breathing room at all.
I was going to say on the circuit, I was going to sort of get my glasses on the alloys and say that I'm walking like someone to be a grade 1 circuit with these cars. So there's not much one-off there. It's literally a cliff there.
Yeah.
And you get it wrong.
It's a rally style.
Luckily not none of our guys testing with the April 2019 can fly or not. For now, anyway, Coque Lopez going from bad to worse for him. Looking down to that. 12th place, 4 seconds at the back. What do you do with Coque Lopez? I mean, he's our current Nations Cup leader. I've got a feeling he won't be after this race.
No, it's a very good opportunity for others to capitalise. Miyazono, Gallo, all within touching distance. Gallo on 7 points, Miyazono on 6 points, despite failing to score last time out in the second round of the championship in Prague. So we'll see whether he's able to take advantage of that. But like I say, Lopez needs a minor miracle at the moment. There is Adriano Carazzi sitting in 6th position for now. Kind of in no man's land really at the moment, because Jose Serrano is up ahead of him by about 1.7 seconds or so.
So what should we really do at the moment in that scenario? But Miyazono, 5 seconds to the lead now. Gallo's just been passed actually by Sasaki. We've just missed that on screen. I think it's just ahead of us right now using the 6th screen. So Gallo down to third place, Sasaki up into second, but Roach there as well. So these 3 cars really close for second place right now. And they need to be careful about this. We say this so often that obviously you're a racing driver, you want to be as high up the order as possible, but if you're squabbling every corner, you're just giving time away to the cars around you who are not doing it, who are driving in the ideal racing line, not having to brake earlier or later. So you have to really make sure the move is worth making before you make it.
Yeah, Miyazono putting an absolute crack of a strategy at the moment so far. You can see that 5 seconds he's got in 5 laps or so, so he's putting a good chunk of time compared to the rest of the field. The question is, how much is he putting into his tyres? How long are they going to last? Because the mediums will be longer, they're a harder compound, relatively speaking. But of course, the converse with that is that they are slower over the course of 1 lap. So we'll see how that's going to pan out for Miyazono, or when those tyres will start to degrade to the point where they don't have any performance advantage over the medium shove runners. Just to give you an idea of how much quicker Miyazono was, last lap around a 1:27.159, Sasaki a 1:27.748, so about 0.6 of a second or so to the good of his compatriot. Let's have a look here at Sasaki versus Gallo then. So this is through the right-hander. Start here straight, a big snap of oversteer there for Gallo.
Did well to get that. That could have very easily been similar to what we've seen with Kylian Dumont all the way back in Montreal, where he spun it just coming out the corner. These cars, a lot of horsepower, over 800 brake horsepower in these cars, and these guys don't mind running the TC, so imagine trying to control that every lap with tyres that are getting steadily worse, and you can see Gallo's problem. And to add to that, Callum Roach is now part of Gallo's problem as he comes down to T1. That little kink there, I think, saves a lot of people into the first corner.
No doubt.
It turns it into a bit of a one-line corner that. So this corner coming down here, T6 ahead of him though, isn't a one-line corner. Let's see if Callum Roach in front can do anything. We're on board Jose Serrano. Good viewing seats here for Jose Serrano, but going to be a bit higher right now. Although to his credit, seems to have the best tyre condition of all of the drivers around him on our information we have here. So just whisper into those medium tyres at the moment.
I'm loving this gyro-style cam that we're using here in the GT World Series. We've been using it for a good number of years. Have you noticed Formula 1 have started using it?
Miyazono penalty.
Yeah, so that's happened there.
Must have been track limits somewhere. 1 second penalty. So he must have just taken a little bit too much out of one of the corners. Very easy to do that around here. Track limits very strict in these GT World Series events because, trust me, if there's an advantage to be had when these drivers are final, and the stewards right on that 1 second penalty, it's not really a 1 second penalty though, is it, Tom?
No, because it's about 1.5 seconds. You lose all the time and the speed as a result of taking that penalty, because of course your car slows down to a set speed. So Miyazono, not putting on the back foot as such, he's still got a healthy margin, he'll still manage to retain the lead, but all of the advantage that he's built up, 5.5 seconds or so there and thereabouts, it's just being washed away. Now let's have a look and see what happened here. So this will be one example of extended track. I just hit the wall on the outside there. And that was just, again, that'll be one example, because it's all awarded in the game. It's not done by the stewards one. So essentially they'll be accruing all these incidents over the course of it. So that's just, let's say, one example of it.
So strict, isn't it? I mean, these guys are the best in the world, so you expect that from them, but it can be very easy to make that mistake, and really definitely punished here for Miyazono. You can see there how we work our penalty system there. You cross the penalty line, the car has to slow down for a second, and you get back on the gas again. So that time slowing down, that time speeding up, all takes away from the cars around. Still on board here with Jose Serrano, still in the same place as he was last lap. But again, just looking after those tyres, I think this is essentially the thing they do in this position. If the cars in front of you aren't that slow, moving at a good pace, just keep the tyres alive, stay within touching distance, maybe also save a bit of fuel. So that's going to be a big part of this race here. There's going to be 35 litres or so of extra fuel needed for these guys over the course of the race distance. And it's 3 seconds. Sorry, 3 seconds. Really, it's 1 second. Sorry, I did get it right.
Yeah. It's going to take about 20 seconds to set the car.
So if you can save 3 litres, you get yourself a 3 seconds.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is not a day in a race.
Yeah, which is something that New Zealand just lost.
Yeah, exactly. So, Miyazono is still leading. Look at those rear tyres. They're now coming towards the end of their use of right. Indeed, and he comes into the pit lane then at the end of lap 7. So we're going to have a new leader. It'll be Takuma Sasaki, followed by Valerio Gallo. The question is, where does Miyazono emerge in relation to the rest of the field? Is he going to be right down plumb last? Or he's not going to be plumb last, is he? He's going to come out ahead of Drummond here. He'll slot back in theory into a nice little gap there to him and Miyazono. He's onto the medium tyres, so he's not going to be a sitting duck compared to the medium shod runners behind him as well. So this will work out quite nicely for him, and he can just go and run his own race and just set the pace as he needs to. He exits out of the pit lane then at the start of lap 8 onto the medium tyres here for the former race leader.
And that was quite clever. I think he took the penalty and went, okay, right, I've now lost a bit of time. Where am I going to come out? Okay, there's a nice big gap there. Let's go into that. Let's put the mediums on and let's just run, let's just save some nice, consistent laps. Here's what we think the tyre strategy is going to be, although we've seen people coming on lap 1 for the hard tyres, so throw that out the window, get rid of that. But just the hard tyre, it just doesn't seem to be viable in a lot of his races. It doesn't heat up quick enough, doesn't quite have that pace, and the longevity isn't working for the sprint races.
No, we've had a time when we had like a minimum tyre period where you had to run it for a minimum 3 or 4 laps or something like that, but for reasons unbeknownst to myself, we're not doing that at the moment. So drivers just getting off the hard tyre as quickly as they possibly can. You can see Sasaki there just kicking up a bit of dust into the base of Valerio Gallo, who had that warning sign, if you remember, a few laps ago. Meanwhile, right behind them, Callum Roach and Jose Serrano very close to one another. Roach in 3rd place, but Serrano bearing down on the American driver as we come across the timing line. And Serrano looking to try and make a move on Roach in towards turn 2. He's got the inside line in his track position, but can he make the move stick? Roach gives him racing room. There's a little hint of contact going through turn 2. On the exit, they still continue to run side by side as they flick it through the left-hander. We're going to come to a right-hander before too long. Roach it is that's still in front, and Serrano, I don't think he's going to be there unless he's going to have a lunge to the inside. But it's still fairly early in this race to be making moves as rash as that.
And we've seen that trouble with that first corner. You just can't quite get alongside. To go up the inside for the hairpin, you need to go a long way around to get there. So you need a big overspeed. Serrano just about got there, but Roach's exit was good enough that he can just pull back ahead and stay in 3rd position from now. On board with Valerio Gallo, currently 2nd in our points standing. It's been a good last race out of him, of course, taking the win at Prague. Will we see a repeat here at Tokyo at the Grand Valley circuit here? I don't know. I mean, he's done well so far. He's had that one moment, but again, he's doing what he sort of needs to do, just sort of staying where he needs to be, maybe saving a little bit of fuel. But we all know, following a car in front can also increase tyre wear. Here is the replay of Serrano's attempted move. Roach didn't quite come off from it.
Yeah, have a look on the inside there. Roach gave him racing good fair play because he could have closed the line there. He could have ended up with the car possibly going off into the sea. But Roach just holding firm on the outside, knowing that the track will come to him a little bit later on around that corner, and so he holds on to 3rd place. Carranza's picked up a penalty as well, so presumably that must also be the track limits because we haven't seen stewards investigating anything at the moment. Meanwhile, Serrano there still sitting in 4th position. Carranza 1.8 seconds back of that, seems to have become a little bit further back than that, which might see Nostroza able to take profit and move himself up into 5th.
The impression that both Roach and Gallo are just a little bit hazy. I don't like that stat. I'm not a fan of that stat.
Is that because
it's because I'm very close to that myself, and I've got this stat up.
How's your back today? Is it alright?
I don't think.
This week when you woke up and just got 6 WD-40 on it. What happens as you get older? That's all right.
Leave me alone.
Valerio Gallo it is at least. Look at the fuel consumption, by the way. We were mentioning about that a little bit earlier on. Miyazono led this race quite comfortably by a margin of about 4 seconds or so when he came in for his pit stop. He's only used a litre of fuel more than Takuma Sasaki, so it's working out quite nicely for him here so far.
Callum Roach, though, who we said has been quite quick, is really using quite a lot of fuel at the moment. So he needs to bring that down. Yeah, as I said earlier on, we reckon it's about 35 is extra you're going to need to box for to complete this race distance. Look at the mirrors, you can see this behind there. But there we go, Callum Roach there, large in the mirrors. Again, when he goes for a move, he's going to stay there for now. I think he knows he's going to save that to a big lift there from Callum Roach just to make sure that he can match his guys in fuel.
13 seconds it will take for that extra 35 litres to go into the tank. Just a bit of quick work. I know, I tell you what, it's like I listened to the briefings that we had before the start of this one. Jose Serrano now right on the back of Callum Roach once again. The top two trying to build a bit of a gap out to the likes of Roach and Serrano, just to give that bit of breathing space, really. It's important that they're able to run their own race and not get too much bother from behind. It's going to be a bit of a slow burner, this one, so once the strategies all begin to diverge and then they pick up a little bit later on, we'll see exactly how it is all going to play out. At the moment, Miyazono is doing an absolutely superlative job. What's his pace relative to the other medium short runners? 27.6. That's pretty good. It's not the fastest, but it's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the middle part. It's one of the quicker medium runners, but it's faster than the guys up front by a fair bit. So that's one to keep an eye on, it seems. All the while, Miyazono is lapping quicker than the cars that we're watching right now. When all the pit stops are said and done, that gap's going to come back to him. Callum Roach getting it a bit wrong there through the right hand, and that will make the next set of corners even more difficult. It'll be slower for section. Serrano might have a chance of just getting a wheel there into that gravel on the outside. You can only dip it in there a little bit though. You see what happened to Gallo when he tried it, almost lost the car. Through the tunnel then, and back out into the sunshine as we go on to lap 12 of 27. Serrano here in the toe of Callum Roach. Will he lift? Let's have a look. No, he's going for it. He thinks he's a bit quicker than the cars in front. He's going to try and go for the move now. Yeah, forced it this time. Late on the brakes. Comes back across the front of Callum Roach. Forced him to slow down. Oh, and put a little bit of oversteer on exit, but I think he's still got the move made.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that corner, is it can just give you an opportunity to live another day, as it were. Roach is not going to take this one lying down, though. He might try and send it back from the inside into the hairpin. Nope, Serrano's got it covered off for now. So Roach is going to have to think about it a little bit later on in the lap. The thing is, though, look at what that's done. It's only one overtake, but the gap it's built for Gallo is up to 1.2 seconds or so, from about 6 seconds a second, so it's double, just as a result of that one manoeuvre.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Leo Gallo right now, I am P2 in the standings. My main rival is currently last and not going to score any points. And Miyazono, I guess now will be the closest in the standings to him, seemingly out front. Just take it easy, I think, at this point, because whatever happens, the gap going into the grand final isn't, into the world final isn't going to be big enough for you to be comfortable. So I think just take it easy for now, Valerio. Save that little bit until think about the long race here, as I think we will do, and just no more silly mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes creep in with Valerio. He's under pressure.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's wise to that one. Miyazono's been able to bring the gap down to Adriano Corazza to about 2 seconds or so. So these medium tyres, again, now coming towards the end of where they need to be. So that means that they're going to be coming into the pits before too long. Lap 13 out of 27 we are, and you can see just how much Miyazono picked off of Takuma Sasaki in terms of the lap time difference. 3 tenths of a second on lap 10, nearly a second on lap 11, and that gap is going to just increase over the next couple of laps or so, depending on when Sasaki decides to come into the box.
Yeah, I mean, like every lap, it's 6 tenths average there between all those. So really is getting on now. It's Takuma Miyazono. He's got to do this. This is the stint, the important stint for him. Whenever you have clear track in front of you, you've got to push into that gap. You've got to really use the tyre when you can. Sasaki, I get the impression he is trying hard, but the tyres are just starting to pull away from him now. Those rear tyres are getting to the point where they're going to start being pacey. You start sliding, you heat up more, you slide more, and it's just you just tumble down the well from there. You know?
So put a bit of flesh on the bones for me, Jimmy. If you're Takuma Miyazono, you're going to get yourself into that zone. How do you not let the pressure come to you as a driver?
I mean, to be honest, it's quite easy when you have no one around you. You just go, right, okay, I know how to drive this circuit. I know my braking points. I know the speed I have. Let yourself get into that rhythm. I mean, I know there's a big crowd behind you. I know you can hear the commentary as you're in the event as well, but you've got to set a very good headphones on. Just focus on what you're doing. You can't control anyone else, and you control what you're doing. And Miyazono is so good at that. So we'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep an eye on how he progresses. Sasaki, of course, still out, still not boxing. Corazza opting to come into the pit lane. He's on the straight of somewhat as expected. The track limit penalty a bit wide there for Sasaki. That would have slowed both him and Gallo up somewhat. Lap time wise, Sasaki just did a 28.3, which compared to Miyazono on his last lap, did a 27.2.
So Gallo will ride on board with then Sasaki with a warning sign. A handful of corners ago, that snap of oversteer. Those snaps of oversteer might not sound like a lot, but they can prove to be very detrimental to your race, especially if you allow the competitor that's chasing you to get through. You just have permitted these drivers that happen to be going through this series of corners as well, going through the daylight into the tunnel and then back into the daylight once more as we head through the final sector. This circuit full of undulation, full of lots of twists and turns, and a lot of medium speed corners as well. And you can see there that, again, just going onto the curve on the outside, that's a great opportunity for the rear to snap away from you, especially because your tyres get that all more worn. In terms of the lap times, Miyazono last time around 27.2, Sasaki at 28.3, so Miyazono really in the groove at the moment, and crucially a lot faster than the medium shod runners who have not pitted yet in front of him. So we'll wait to see how long it's going to be before these drivers meet, because I think as soon as Sasaki meets, the rest of the drivers are probably going to follow soon, because they want to try and stay as close as they can. They decide not to at the end of lap 14 though.
Still going down. Pretty similar. The top three can approach definitely to the deficit in fourth place right. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Robbie Heck, long way off the back of the field. Not quite sure what happened to him. I think he's probably taking his fuel now and is just hoping he can drive into a gap. But he is actually not too far ahead of this little pack there. He might end up being lapped, which disaster, of course, for Robbie Heck. This event definitely not going his way.
No, Robbie Heck with a fair bit of work to do. Like you say, he has taken fuel, no doubt about that, but 40 seconds off the back of the rest of the field. Something of a quiet race for him so far. So 72 seconds, 72 litres of fuel he's got on board, so he definitely has taken that fuel on board compared to the rest of the field. But this is interesting as well, because it kind of forces the hand, actually, of the top five, because they will need to take fuel, I'm sure, the next time around, unless they're going to do the hard tyres and just do that one lap in the middle of the race.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm not sure how you want to do it that way, but we'll see what the drivers come up with. We are now past midway in this race. Watching Oda Torano, of course, Nations Cup champion as part of Team Spain in 2023. This year hasn't quite had that same fire. He's been fast, but he's not quite been someone who's been in contention for the win, I think it's fair to say this year.
It's really easy, isn't it, for things like this to snowball when you start off on the wrong foot and suddenly it just gets worse and worse. And for the drivers as well, I'm not just talking about the events. Now we do see the pit stops coming in. So the top two go in, but Serrano thinks he's got enough life left in his tyres to go for one more lap. So he's going to try the overcut, the rest of the field trying the undercut. Seemingly Sasaki, Gallo, Roach and Inestrosa all in the box. Just finishing my earlier thought, it's easy for things to snowball. And if you start off on the wrong foot, the sprint race doesn't work out well. It can really get people on the back foot for the grand final. Look at Coque Lopez as a prime example of that. He's made no inroads, no impression so far in this race. Now, a divergence in tyres here as well. So Sasaki has gone to the hard tyres, who is taking no fuel on board. Likewise, Inestrosa as well. But you can see the soft shot runners are putting fuel on board and they're putting the soft tyres on. So they're going to have to put the hard tyres on what presumably will be the final lap of the race.
I think the idea maybe is just to try and run that hard in the best possible situation, so low fuel and not much distance, but we'll see. Refueling rate, the one I couldn't quite say properly earlier, it's 3 litres a second, so every 3 litres of the car you're stationary for 1 second, and it means that you have to really think about your fuel saving strategy around here. Be just lifting and coasting a little bit, maybe not revving as much down the straight, or even turning the fuel mix down in car. All things you can do as a driver to control that rate of fuel.
Quite a race so far for Kylian Drumont. Was expecting a little bit more from the Frenchman, actually. I think he'd have been expecting a bit more of his season up to now as well. Didn't get much to score in Montreal. Got a handful of points on the board in Prague, but we know that he's got the pace to be a world champion. We know he's got the talent to do it as well, but this season proving to be an uphill struggle for the young Frenchman as Serrano comes into the box at the end of lap 16.
Yeah, I think Drumont, he's very much everything or nothing. You'll get a win or you'll get a DNF from Kylian Drumont, which to be fair, following the race
win it or bin it.
It works okay, but there's a reason why you only got the WRC once, isn't there? So there you go. But Serrano had the pitch on that hard compound tyre, not opting for fuel, so he's going for the right. I'm going to go out, use this hard tyre with as less fuel as possible and just try and get around quickly and then come into that stop car.
This is the advantage that Miazono's got here now as well. He now leads at the race after having pitted and done the divergence and strategy, but he's got 9, nearly 10 seconds of an advantage over Kylian Drumont. Don't forget to vote for your Michelin driver of the day after the race. During the extra lap press conference is when we will be announcing that. Kind of Brun here on Serrano, going for a move on the inside. That's a lunge from the Dutchman. Gets it done quite nicely and moves up into 4th position.
And again, to the benefit of the car, he is +8 so far in this race. I mean, he has used he's used the harder medium, so he's used the soft tyres to cover last time. So this could be a good run for the guy. I mean, we know Miazono and Drumont both have to go on to Miazono has to go on to the hard tyre at some point. So it maybe isn't quite over yet.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? These divergence and strategies. We saw it in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, where drivers will go onto the soft tyre at the end of the race. That means they're inherently that much quicker. So this could prove to be a very exciting strategy here for Kyler Brun. 9.5 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on what is going to happen here for the Dutchman. Because as Jimmy said, he's made a brilliant ascension through the field. A nice quiet race for him. And a podium finish would not be an unwelcome sight at all, especially given where he was in that sprint race. About half an hour or so ago now, because he deserves a podium despite it, but we know he's got good pace. We've seen it over the course of the last couple of years or so. Comes into the pit lane then with 8 litres of fuel left on board. Drumont also into the box as well. The Frenchman here could be on for a strong result, quite possibly too. And Coppe Lopez likewise coming in as well. You wonder where it's all gone wrong for the Spaniard. It's not proven to be a particularly fortuitous race. So Drumont and De Bruyne in. They'll be taking fuel on board at this stage as well. Crucially, Drumont having to take about 3 fewer litres compared to De Bruyne there as well. So his pit stop will be shorter by a handful of seconds.
That's a long time for those softs to last. That's 9 laps. And we've seen that the furthest it's taken so far was probably happened 8 laps, and they were pretty knackered at the end of that. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be old. He's having to go. Why not? You've got to have to go. And there you go. There's the advantage of sorting your fuel out. So Serrano out ahead of Kyler Brun, and Kylian Drumont up the road from both of them.
Yeah, De Bruyne losing 2 places there as a result of that longer fuel stop, essentially. So Drumont's now into 8th position, and he's got a good, comfortable cushion actually of about 25 seconds or so compared to Callum Roach in front of him. So he can just drive his own race at the moment. Roach and all the field in front of him owe another pit stop in this race. So let's see what happens here for Kylian Drumont. Has he pulled a bit of a blinder to get himself into podium contention in the latter stages of this race? At the moment, it's still Miazono that leads by some 12 seconds. I think the victory for the likes of Drumont and Serrano, etc., are going to be that step too far. But as Sasaki comes into the pit lane with 8 litres of fuel and Barbara with 2 litres of fuel, they make their final stops, seemingly, in this race. Where does Sasaki go? Does he decide to go over the soft tyre? He surely has to, yeah, because he's got around doing the soft tyre, and he will be 1 lap fresher compared to those who pitted last time around as well.
As I say, what happened with Valerio Gallo, but he took fuel earlier in the race, so he's got fuel to the end, whereas Carrazza and Miazono both need to pit for pretty much a full tank. So let's see where Gallo actually comes out. Gallo's going to be quite competitive with his drivers around him. Once Miazono drops it, Sasaki coming onto that soft compound tyre and now leaving the pit lane. Does he come out ahead of this little train behind him? This will be absolutely... he needs that. No, he doesn't. Behind Serrano, and not just about coming out ahead of Kyler Brun, but Sasaki back into the pack now. So you're seeing what the lack of fuel saving has done. Even though Sasaki led most of the start of this race here after Miazono boxed, that was it. He didn't quite save the fuel the right way, and now he's back in the pack again.
Well, it's proven to be a bit costly for some drivers here, this fuel strategy. So Drumont there in 5th position, Serrano and Sasaki not too far adrift. Now Miazono into the pits. Oh, look at that for a fuel strategy. 1 litre left. You can't cut it any finer than that. If there's a man who knows how to eke the maximum out of his car, it is Takuma Miazono. And don't think that he was slow last time around as well. He was 27.6 across the line. So it's not like he's been doing massive fuel saving. He's just timed it really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's that hard to count the time now. Now, here's the agonising part of the drive. You just have to wait for this fuel to go in. Now, Gallo has got up into the lead, into 2nd place, Carrazza in the lead right now. Carrazza's got to come in at some point. He hasn't got enough fuel to take him out of the equation.
Yeah, and Gallo's also got a surplus pit stop because he owes the hard drop at the time, doesn't he?
But what's the gap, I think, to Miazono? That is the big question.
Well, Miazono is surely going to come in because he's not going to finish the rest of this race 7 laps on the hard tyre. That would be very detrimental in comparison to everybody else. The longest that we've seen on the hard tyre to date is 3 laps, and it's about 1.7 seconds a lap slower. So I'm sure that Miyazoni's going to do one and done.
I'm sure not, because like that's going to give the race away. Doing that.
Well, unless he wants to have more pace at the end. But a hard tyre for 7 laps, that's a risky strategy. But he had to come in because he needed fuel. He had no choice, did he?
It's not worked out very well for Turismo, and I think he's made a mistake there, if I'm honest. If you come in again now, you're giving away, I don't know, 15 seconds.
But then the converse is that you have more pace in the race, but you've got to make those positions up, you've got to gain that time back, essentially. Tyler Broom picks up a 1 second penalty for a collision then, so that's unfortunately going to put paid to any possible podium results for the Dutchman, I'm afraid. So, Karata is that leads then. Let's try and work out this one.
Look at this.
So Karata leads. He owes another compound of the tyre. How much fuel's he got on board? Not enough. He's got 6 litres. He's going to come in at the end of this one. You can forget about him. Gallo's already taken fuel. He owes another pit stop because he hasn't run the hard compound of tyre. Here is De Bruyne about to serve his penalty, by the way, and allows Sasaki to go through into 7th position. And then further down the order, you've got Callum Roach, again, owes another pit stop, owes the hard compounded tyre, has got fuel on board. Miyazono on the hard tyre. To the end of this one, over the course of 7 laps, he's going to be right up against it if that is indeed his strategy. If he's going to go to the end of this race on the hard compounded tyre, he's going to be hemorrhaging time. But of course, he's got that in his back pocket for now. It just depends on what happens with everybody else once they have all sorted their strategies out.
I was going to say, I feel like this race is sort of coming to Valerio Gallo at the moment, from what I can see on him and Callum Roach looking very fast. I just don't think that being on that hard time, we'll check out Miyazono's lap times, but I just don't think he's going to be able to compete with those on the soft around him. I mean, we are going to see Gallo and Roach and the like come in for that hard time. They have to use it at some point. But it's going to be fresher, and they're going to have similar fuel, and the gap is always growing at the moment. So it basically depends on how long Gallo can stay out on the soft time, how long he can keep the pace up at the 26th.
Let's have a look at De Bruyne here with Sasaki. So this is the penalty that he picked up. It goes up the inside of Sasaki. Pushes him wide a little bit onto there, and then there's a smattering of contacts as it's rejoined. Tries to close the door a little bit, and well, there we go. Right, so Karata's in, no fuel left on board, 0 litres. That, well, yeah, that is as close as you like, and then there's running on fumes. I reckon that we probably need to coast the last couple of metres for that one. Serrano's picked up another penalty here of a second as well due to track limits.
I'm keeping an eye on the lap time that's giving me his on it. This is really important now. Gallo still has a good bit of tyre life left. I think he can take these tyres maybe a couple more laps. We've seen 8 laps out of some of the cars so far. We might even see 9 if that tyre can go that far.
So what Gallo needs to do here is he needs to drive as fast as he possibly can, but the problem is that he owes that hard compound tyre. He needs to build up that gap so that when he takes that final pit stop, he's got that cushion in his pocket if Miyazono is going to stay out on the hard compound tyre. There's a lot of ebbing and flowing to go in this race, and you can see the difference in tyre compounds here and how important that is. Look at that. Drumont last time around, he's on the soft tyre, Miyazono's on the hard. 2.1 seconds. That's a fortnight around here.
And that's something else as well. Drumont catches Miyazono, and there's no defending against that sort of lap time differential. You're going to just drive by the guy at that point. I really think this has all come undone for Miyazono. I think what happened, he just misjudged the fuel and got to the point where he had to change tyres coming in, and he didn't get to use all the medium stint time. I mean, for example, people ran that medium time 15 to 17 laps. He only did 12 before he boxed, so he lost out in 5-6 laps of that medium speed.
Well, if he's bothered about it, he's not letting his facial expressions show.
No, he's not.
When does he ever, to be fair? So lap 22 out of 27 we're on then. It's Gallo that leads, Roach in second. Roach again still owes that hard compounded tyre, but has the same fuel as Valerio Gallo. So that is a de facto position there for Callum Roach as it stands for now, because he's in exactly the same position, exactly the same strategy. Of course, he's got 5.5 seconds, 5.9 seconds now as a matter of fact, to Valerio Gallo. So once it all pays out, I reckon that Roach will probably drop down to 3rd, maybe 4th position here. But Drumont is closing.
Drumont's going to be the one to look out for. Drumont is really fast right now, but we do know that soft compound's got to go all the way to the end, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle to kill him, Drumont, but he's got the pace. Watch out for the Frenchman. I think maybe he's becoming a contender here. Really good middle stints, put him in the position he's in now, but he does have the caveat that he's got Takuma Miyazono ahead now, who does not have to stop again. He's not going to just let you by. He's going to defend that position for his life. And same for Drumont, these guys don't have to stop. Roach and Gallo do need to stop, and both need to go into that line. Look at that lap differential there. 2 seconds, 1.7 seconds.
It's the end of this lap.
Yeah,
Surely
he'll be there.
there's nothing that Miyazono's going to be able to do here. Drumont's just going to go driving on by. So I said about the fuel strategy and Miyazono eking it out as long as he possibly could, and that could prove to be to his undoing here, because Miyazono, significantly slower than Drumont, who got the carrot very well and truly dangled in front of him for a potential race victory, or at least a podium here this afternoon. And don't forget, of course, points all the way down to 6th place and the World Finals to come at the start of December. So every position is going to be absolutely critical. Through the chicane we go, on towards the start-finish straight. And this is going to be like taking candy from a baby for Drumont versus Miyazono, because there's going to be nothing that the Japanese driver is going to be able to do. So through the tunnel and bursting into the daylight, Drumont in the slipstream then here. I don't think he's going to make it into turn 2. It's certainly closing. Kingslow left, and Miyazono's going to park the car on the middle, and unless Drumont can send it down the inside, which he can't, Miyazono parks on the outside. But it's the exit of this corner where Drumont will have greater traction underneath him, and he may be able to set something up into the next right-hand hairpin. He's in the slipstream here of Miyazono, and he's surely going to be launching a move for the inside for third position. Down into the right, and there we go, and Drumont gets the better of Takuma Miyazono and moves up into third place. How critical is that going to be for the Frenchman?
Yeah, I think that was something that Miyazono was a bit clever letting that happen. I think he knows that he can't defend right now. When you're on that hard compound tyre, it's not a reflection of the driver's speed. You just don't have the grip, which means you can't get out of the corners as fast, you can't brake as well, you can't use the high-speed grip as well. So you just find yourself managing, which is why the drivers all try and get off the hard tyre as soon as possible. And why we were so surprised to see him try and take it so long, he's got to take it to the end still from here. So what we're watching now is when will Gallo, when will Roach, I assume fairly soon, just because those tyres are soft tyres, Roach into the pit lane. Okay, this will be a good indicator of where Drumont is in relation to Gallo, who's opted for another lap.
But Gallo's tyres are more worn than Roach's.
And the times are, well, they're not there, 28.3. Drumont is really becoming a contender now.
Yeah, Drumont could be in for the victory then here this afternoon in the grand final in Tokyo. Well, we said if in doubt, flat out, win it or bin it style, and it's not been a particularly fortuitous season so far for the young Frenchman, but it is coming to him absolutely handsomely here. Finished on the podium at last time out in Prague with 5 points on the board. He could be set to take a maximum of 6 here today as well, and Miyazono's race still continues to unravel because Serrano is now right on the back of him as well.
Roach comes out in P7, so I think the pit stop slightly longer than we anticipated there for Callum Roach, which by my math means that I don't think Gallo's got the gap he needs.
It's 25 seconds, that's going to be tight though, isn't it? It depends on how much fuel he's got on board. It's about the same, isn't it? He's not going to take any fuel, so that's fine. Okay, right, so Callow then, this is going to come down to the pit stops then here for the victory of this race. There is Kadeem Drumont just up the road in the blue X2019, but Serrano is again feeling the pressure onto the back of Takuma Miyazono, who's in no man's land. He's got no answer to this one, and his race has come well and truly unravelled owing to a fuel miscalculation seemingly for him. Gallo into the pits then, 12 litres of fuel left, 2 laps of the race left. He'll make it to the end of that one, but he's going to be on the slowest, harder compound of tyre towards the end of this one, whereas Drumont is going to be on the soft compound of tyre, quicker over the course of this race. And Serrano still continues to pile the pressure onto the back of Takuma Miyazono for that final podium place here.
So where is Kylian Drumont? Going down the straight now, coming over the start-finish line. Gallo there waiting in the pit, and it must be like an eternity. And up into the lead goes Kylian Drumont. Go there. Oh, he's down to 4th place there. So hasn't done enough there to maintain it. This is Miyazono battling with Jose Serrano, but can't quite keep the pace. Serrano up a second. Drumont from seemingly nowhere. 9 positions he's gained this race, and is now leading with just under 2 laps to go.
He's done exactly what Jorge Lopez wanted to do in Prague, coming from pretty much the back of the field up into the lead of the race. And this has been a quite brilliant strategy with just 2 laps remaining, and he's now got the quickest compound of tyres, fresh tyres, underneath him. And it could be bad to worse if it's given Miyazono, because Gallo, Sasaki, Atala all very close behind. So the podium is very much under threat here for the Japanese driver, who drove a brilliant first stint of this race, but it is coming unravelled to the extreme, and you can see Sasaki piling the pressure onto the back of Gallo. Soft tyres for Sasaki, hard tyres here for Valerio Gallo, and is there anything the Italian is going to be able to do to hold off the charge of the Japanese driver. Over the viaduct we go, into the tunnel. Sasaki's going to have more grip going into the right-hander, but there's no track position there. But Gallo's a little bit wide, there's a bit of contact. The door is open there for Sasaki, but we flick it left, and Gallo can just live to fight another day as we come onto the start-finish straight. Wide there for Gallo. Sasaki sniffs the opportunity, and he's ready to try and take advantage of it. He's trying every which way he can, but Gallo's defending the line through there. Into the right-hander we go, onto the start-finish straight. Sasaki's got the slipstream, he's going to have track position, and he's going to get fourth place here. Gallo squeezes him towards the pit wall, but Sasaki goes, thanks very much, and he's up into fourth at the start of the final lap.
Yeah, good attempt there from Gallo to keep that place, but he just can't defend from that straight line speed differential, or can he? Gallo having another go at Sasaki. Kind of Bruins back in the mix after serving that penalty, so it's not over for Gallo yet. Miyazono still somehow holding on to a podium position, with Kylian Dumont winning away out front. What a fairy tale story for the Frenchman.
And the thing is with Miyazono, this could come to his aid because Serrano's on soft tyres, but they're 10 laps old. They're absolutely clapped out. That's the problem though, is the soft tyres are now beginning to fall off a cliff. Look at the rear tyres here for Dumont and Serrano. 17-18%. We've only got 1 lap remaining, so it's still not possibly out of the question here for Takuma Miyazono to get second. Is the victory still within his grasp though? There is Kylian Dumont, and the gap is shrinking down to 28 flat for him. Miyazono last around a 28.4, but Miyazono still on the back of Serrano. He needs to dispatch him as soon as he possibly can. I think the victory's going to be out of the question, but second place could be on the cards at crucial points going into the World Finals as well. If he can find his way through up the inside, it's going to be a tall order, but Kylian Dumont though has timed this one to absolute perfection. What a drive and what a strategy for the young Frenchman as he comes through the tunnel for the final time. Kylian Dumont takes his first victory of the season in the Gran Turismo World Series. The Frenchman is on top in Tokyo. It's Jose Serrano in second, Miyazono takes third, Gallo in fourth, just by 200ths of a second from Takuma Sasaki in fifth, and De Bruyne right close behind as well. What a race, what a strategy, what a finish, and what a drive from the young Frenchman Kylian Dumont. Well, the cream always rises to the top eventually, and Kylian Dumont, they always say form is temporary and class is permanent. That was a masterclass from the youngster.